I've gotten quite a few questions about the plow setup on my 80 series Land Cruiser, so this video is going to kind of show you how I've attached the plow to the truck because there are no brackets, and kind of how it operates. This is a pretty budget setup. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. Obviously, if you buy new, you're gonna spend quite a bit of money, but in this situation, I literally got this truck swapped and drivable, usable, and then spent the next day up till 11:30 getting the plow ready. I let this thing sit alongside my house for 3 years. That's how long it's been since this has been down, and I got it ready. And the next day we got about 7 inches of snow, so I put it right into service, and it did fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. Anyway, let's get into the equipment I've got and how it's attached to the truck. So the plow itself is a 6.5 foot Western Uni-mount. I've had it for actually a lot longer than I've had this truck. This used to be on a 91 4Runner. It was what I owned before this truck, which had a 3/4 swap, and it did all right. It was a manual. It was a little rough on the clutch, and that truck was a little too light for pushing snow. Ran into some issues, but this truck does great. Anyway, I find the smaller blades like this are a little more nimble, easier to get in the tight spots. Again, I don't do this really professionally. This is kind of keep my driveway and my lot clear. I do my neighbors and my family members. That's pretty much the only reason I've got this. Also, this driveway sucks to shovel. I did it for 3 years. Anyway, it's an older blade. Obviously, you can see it's in pretty rough shape, but it does the job, and if I need to replace parts, I will. I actually had to, before I got this going, I had to replace the motor. The motor failed. Now everything's good. It has a couple small hydraulic leaks, but whatever, I'll keep it full. It'll be fine. Anyway, I'm going to show you about the bracket I've used to attach it to the truck. So this is a Western Uni-mount bracket for a Ford Bronco 2 or a Ford Ranger. It came with the plow when I bought it used several years ago. I don't know that it's the best for this vehicle. However, it's been modified to fit. I think there probably are better ones that would fit a little closer, but you're going to be doing a lot of cutting and welding anyway. It has these supports that have to be trimmed around the body mounts, and then there's a bolt right back here. I don't know if you can see that. I can't see what I'm doing here. On both sides of the frame, and then it also attaches behind the bumper. I've actually had a plate welded in, which has 4 bolts that run through it. So this attaches in 6 points. I think it's plenty strong for what you're going to do with it. Again, this is not an 8-foot blade; it's a 6.5 foot blade. So there's not a lot of load on it, and it's not a hull blade either. It doesn't have wings on it or anything, but it seems to do all right. I've used it for a couple seasons now with this truck. This is the most recent, obviously, but it does a really good job. So instead of having a bracket with this control mounted to it, I actually trimmed this bezel. And I know I ruined the bezel, but I have an extra one, so don't worry too much. But this does cover the on-off switch, so I had to put a remote on-off switch in another part of the dash. Eventually, probably later this year, I'm going to take this out, put the stock panel back in, and I have a handheld control that I'll be using, which will be much easier to deal with. I don't really do this for any kind of money here. This is just to keep my own stuff clean. Another big concern you may have when adding a plow to your Land Cruiser is how's that extra weight going to make the truck sit and drive? Well, I've got it all off the ground, and this is as low as it gets in the front. Now this truck does have a 2.5 inch OME lift with medium duty front springs. And yes, it does affect how the truck sits, but it's nowhere near as bad as my 91 4Runner was. It's not tail happy, it doesn't handle weird. I mean, you can definitely tell it's there, but for the most part, it drives just like it normally does. It just sits a little lower in the front. And you can compensate by adding a few hundred pounds in the rear. I didn't really find that necessary. I had to do that on my 4Runner to keep the tail end on the ground, but it does quite well. And actually, I'll lower it and show you exactly how much the front end comes up when you take the weight off. So you can see it's not terrible. Again, it does affect it. I mean, this is probably 400 pounds, and it's going to affect it. And it's also in front of the front tires. But all in all, no issues whatsoever with pushing snow with this as far as drivability and how it handles and how safe it is. So you may note that this has a light bar on it, and I'm going to be honest, it's not wired. I haven't found a wiring harness that is plug and play, so you do have to kind of hardwire the lights on if you wish to use the lights. I generally don't run the plow high enough to block the factory headlights. Another side effect I noticed of this plow is it does block a lot of air, like a lot of air. So if you're trying to maintain 65 or 70 miles an hour going down the highway, which might be tough for a 1FC, but not for a 5.3. It definitely will run warm. Without the plow, no issues whatsoever, but with the plow on, it blocks so much air. So I generally cruise down the highway with the plow about 6 to 8 inches off the ground. I know it might make some people nervous, but I have had no issues doing it, and I did that with my last truck as well. So I'm really hoping this is the last time I'll get to use the plow this season. I hate snow, but one funny thing did happen. My neighbor, I used to plow his driveway on a regular basis, and obviously that's the neighborly thing to do. I did it with several of my neighbors actually, and he after 3 years of me not being able to do it because this truck had a half assembled engine in it and the plow was sitting next to my garage, he went out and got himself a snowblower, and he did that this year. So the big first snow we got was this actual snow, and I went over to his house and plowed his driveway for him, and he wasn't mad, but the look on his face was pretty priceless. Anyway, I shot a little bit of footage of pushing snow on my lower driveway. It's nothing really special. The GoPro, yeah, anyway, you'll see. Don't forget to subscribe. Tons of Land Cruiser content coming soon. Talk to you guys later.